Hey folks, this is DJ from the Night's Newscast here at North Cedar, and today I'm going to show you how I edit each and every one of the night news videos that go out on Friday. This is just going to be a basic tutorial and introduction on how to use iMovie, and it'll show all the techniques that I use to edit the night news. So yeah, if you're a North Cedar student and you have your school-issued MacBook Air, you should already have iMovie pre-installed on your computer. Now, what you do when you open up iMovie, you should end up on this screen here. If not, it's the Projects tab, and you hit Create New, Movie. Now, I have a template that I use for night news that just has some basic video stuff in it, so I'm just going to click on that, but it should be the same screen if you click on New Movie, and we'll get right in here. So, when you get here, you'll see the timeline. You'll see the media tab here, which yours will probably be empty, and all the other tabs here on the screen. But basically, what you have to do to fill this up is you just drag and drop your different pictures or videos you have from your Finder into the timeline here, and it'll automatically add them to the media tab here. And this is basically just where it collects all your footage, which can be useful. Anyway, so usually when I'm starting out with night news here, I have the logo and I just drag it down onto the timeline and adjust the crops to fit so it fills up the whole screen, and hit OK. And there you have it. You have 4 seconds of just the night news logo. And then we can go over to the transitions tab here and get the fade to black transition, which is the one that I use for most of the transitions in the show, and just throw it in at the beginning and the end of the clip. And voila, we have fade in here and fade out at the end. So then the next thing I usually do is add the music. So here you can see we have the background music for night news. You just click and drag that down here or in the master audio tab, it doesn't really matter. And it'll just add it. It starts it off pretty loud, and we usually record our clips with the iPad, which doesn't have the best microphones, so they record kind of quiet. So I usually turn this way down to start out and then adjust it as I add the clips. But yeah, then if I hit play here, you'll see it goes. And so what I usually do here is there's a lot of silence at the beginning of this song, so you can just trim this down a little bit and pull it back to the beginning. And there we have the intro for night news. Pretty simple. Again, all this video editing stuff that I do for this is pretty simple. It's nothing too complicated. Otherwise, I would not use iMovie, because I actually prefer Adobe Premiere Pro for my video editing. But iMovie is just really simple and works for night news because it's not too complicated of a program to really edit. But yeah, so after we do the intro, the next thing I do is I move on to the actual content, which that includes the part where we introduce what episode number it is, and the actual video clips about the news from around the school. So here, if you click on the different footage you have in your media tab here, you can listen to it. So yeah, we have this clip of Michaela Schluter here saying that it's week 20 whatever of night news. We just drag that in like that, and we have a seamless transition here.
Hello everyone, it is week 20 of night news.
Now the music's still a little too loud, but we can also turn up her voice, which Michaela Schluter is kind of a naturally quiet talker, so combine that with the crappy iPad microphone and the fact that she's naturally a quiet talker. Usually I have to bump her up all the way. But yeah, so we have this now.
Hello everyone, it is
Which that's pretty good, but I might even bump down the music a little more. You just kind of gotta mess around with it until you find the right balance between the voices of the people talking on night news and the music in the background, because the music's really snazzy. But yeah, so that's the basics of that. And then we'll just add, I have a couple random clips here. So this is just one from a couple weeks ago. We got this one of Michaela Schluter playing the piano that we never ended up adding into the actual night news. So yeah, we'll just throw that in, trim it up a little bit by clicking and dragging on the edges there, and it'll allow us to trim it down. So yeah, we can just trim this all the way down to here where she actually is playing the piano. So yeah, then we simply go back in here in the transitions tab, and we can throw our fade to black in between these two clips, and it looks seamless. So yeah, you can see it did a transition between that where it just faded to black and then unfaded on this clip, which is pretty nice. Sometimes we can't include the transitions because they pressed the stop button on the recording a little too fast to have a transition there without cutting off the voices, which is just a little annoying, but you know, whatever works. And that's the way, obviously, that it should look. It looks good that way. But yeah, so that's just sort of how we do that. And then usually one of our most popular segments that we've been doing recently is Sam's Art Corner. So I'll just show real quick how I edit those videos. So basically, for Sam's Art Corner, what we do is we take the logo that I made here, the little picture that I made, just drag it into the timeline here, and adjust the crop to fit so it stays, you know, just the full logo. And then here, what we have to do is we have to actually click on the playhead where the music's at, right click on it and hit split, and that'll cut the music out. So we can just go ahead and delete that for now, I suppose. And then there's this little dot here when you hover over this, which lets you adjust the fade out of the music, which honestly, she's playing the piano here, so we could probably not even have the music here if we wanted to. So we can click and drag that back, and it goes over here, but yeah, cut it out here instead. Yeah, and again, this is just sort of like a basic video editing tutorial. It's not supposed to be super complex or anything, because the night news isn't very hard to make, to be honest. But yeah, so basically what that means here is we have the music, and then it fades out here, and now we have Michaela Schluter playing the piano. And then now here at Sam's Art Corner, we use one of my favorite pieces of classical music of all time, Gymnopede, the first movement. So yeah, let me import those into the timeline here. Okay, so now that we've imported our classical music here, again, by clicking and dragging it from the Finder into the timeline here, we can add it to Sam's Art Corner. So yeah, here it is. It's a very beautiful piece, very calm and whatnot. But anyway, so we just click and drag it down to Sam's Art Corner here below on the timeline. Adjust the volume. Usually this has to be turned down quite a bit, because in addition to that, we also have the famous "And now for Sam's Art Corner," which I recorded in a separate program, and we just drag that down here as well. And as you can see, it's a little bit longer than we have the logo showing for, so we can just drag that out and add our transitions here at the beginning and end. Fade to black and fade to black. So you'll see here now we have, I want to move that a little bit. Just a little. Okay, there we go. And you can just click and drag the item on the timeline here to adjust where it is. And now for Sam's Art Corner. That might actually need to be a little bit longer as well to get the whole Art Corner. That should be fine. Okay, split that there. I guess we can just, there we go. Okay, so then what we do after we have the Sam's Art Corner intro. And now for Sam's Art Corner. And that usually has to be adjusted to volume-wise because I recorded that on a microphone that's actually good. Now we add the actual footage of Sam doing stuff, which this is the footage from Sam's Art Corner for tomorrow's night news that's coming out. So we'll just take a chunk of that and delete the rest. We'll mute it to avoid spoilers here. But yeah, so you can see we just have
for Sam's Art Corner.
And then there's Sam. So yeah, then after Sam's Art Corner is done, we just simply add the transition again here, the fade to black. You'll notice this happens a lot in the night news. Add the logo for Sam's Art Corner, again making sure to crop to fit. And then adding the transition at the very end. And then we go back and we add the second one here, which is, and this has been Sam's Art Corner here, and then we just throw this in like we did the last one. Adjust accordingly to make sure it all fits under the logo.
And this has been Sam's Art Corner.
And voila, we have Sam's Art Corner complete. That's a pretty easy section of the night news to do.
Art Corner.
So yeah. And then I guess at this point we have to fade out the music too. So we just hit split on that, delete the rest of it there, and apply a fade out for the music and a fade in for the music. And voila.
And now for Sam's Art Corner.
Yeah, so there we go.
And this has
Ooh, I forgot to.
Sam's Art Corner.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, that's how you do Sam's Art Corner. The last thing we need to show you how to do here on this video is this is how we do the outro. So we have Michaela Schluter here saying, "Have a good weekend," or whatever.
Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, so basically what we have to do for this is we adjust the volume, we add back in the music here, trimming it to just the part that we need, which we'll just go a little bit into it. Adjust the volume, fade in on the audio,
Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.
and then add the logo in again. Set it to fit. Add the transition, fade to black. And voila, we have the outro for night news, which is also pretty easy to make. Now keep in mind this is only a short clip here that I'm making. This isn't a full night news episode, so it might seem like it doesn't take that long, but it usually takes me about 2 hours to edit the full night news. But yeah, so then we just have the intro here with the logo,
Hello everyone. It is week
the
20
talking,
of the crew
and the rest of the content, and then student talent or other content here. And then we have Sam's Art Corner.
And now for Sam's Art Corner.
We have the outro for Sam's Art Corner,
And this has been Sam's Art Corner.
and then the
Thanks for
end.
watching. Have a great weekend.
And I sometimes actually extend out this end one to make it a little more, a little more fade outy. So we can make that fade out as well. And then sometimes, the last thing I'm going to show you today is how I do my little goofs at the end of night news. It's kind of become my own segment. I did it as a joke in one of the videos, and I've kind of just done it in every night news for a good while now. But yeah, I'll just add random stuff at the end of night news. So yeah, this week, let's just say I wanted to add video of cats. I downloaded some stock footage of cats off the internet. So then we have it fade out, and there's cats. Pretty easy. Just add music on top of it, do normal stuff. Or even, if you want, you can add titles, which is something I did not show you how to do before. You basically just go to this titles tab here, and we have newsy themed ones, or we have normal ones, which just, yeah. I prefer this lower third one, so we just drag that over top. And then it has enter name and description down here. We can just have cats. I like cats. And then we hit the checkbox. And voila, on top of the footage, we have cats. I like cats. And this is a pretty simple thing to do. So yeah, night news, we use iMovie. Not very hard to edit, just takes a while sometimes. Not very hard to get the hang of, and we are currently in the process of looking for people to take the torch for us next year because most of the people involved in the Night News are seniors. So if you know some stuff about video editing and think you can handle it, get in contact with us, nightsnewsnetwork@gmail.com. And yeah, so that's how I edit the Night News. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, djstull@northcedarstew.org. And yeah, I'll try to answer your questions. And if you have any other ones, you can also comment on the video and I'll reply to you on here. So yeah, thank you for watching this brief overview of how I edit the Night News. Again, this is more of a style tutorial versus an actual tutorial for iMovie. So if you want a tutorial on how to edit with iMovie, I'd recommend checking out another video. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.